Hi, I'm John Carpenter, psychiatric therapist and UFO researcher. Recently, I just got back from Brazil, South America, where I had given a presentation on alien abductions at an international conference in Curitiba. Curitiba is in the southern part of Brazil, which is more industrial and European in nature. I was much surprised at this. This is also the area where the case in Varginha is located. Before I went to Brazil, I had heard rumors about a saucer crash and the military capturing live beings. This was very mysterious, and so I figured by the time I went to Brazil that I could get the real facts. This was difficult at first because I could not speak Portuguese, and therefore I had to rely on translations from different investigators, and the details were sketchy. I ran into a few American-speaking Brazilians, and they tried to tell me more details. This raised my curiosity along with several of the other researchers who were present at the conference. What I did finally was go up to Vittorio Paccaccini, one of the chief investigators, and asked him a few questions, hoping that he could understand my English. I was surprised to find that he spoke very good English and was quite willing to share many details. I decided at this point to team up with Stanton Friedman from Canada and Graham Birdsall from England, and the three of us would interview him in my hotel room. Finally, we would get the intricate and specific details of this most interesting case in Varginha. Now, before I went to Brazil, I had thought that this must be some kind of jungle hysteria, some kind of story that was spread like a wild rumor through the jungles and the villages. Well, when I realized how industrial and specialized this area was, I soon began to take the whole case much more seriously. I was most impressed with the investigators, and I think you will be too. Join me now in the front-line investigation of this case, as you will be there on this first interview, gathering information as we are. After the interview with Vittorio Paccaccini, we will look at some photos and drawings to summarize the case. And then, following that, A.J. Javard, the head of the Mutual UFO Network for Brazil and the editor of UFO Magazine in Brazil, will add some additional comments, remarks, and thoughts. I hope you enjoy, as this case unfolds before you, the complexity and the seriousness of the idea that aliens were captured in Brazil.
Yes. My name is Vittorio. Where do I look?
Doesn't matter.
Just look at Stanton because you're between the two cameras.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Vittorio Paccaccini. I'm 31 years old. I'm single. I live in Belo Horizonte, which is the capital of the state of Minas Gerais. It's the second state of Brazil. And I belong to this oldest Brazilian investigation group. It's called CICOANI. It means Centro de Investigação Civil de Objetos Aéreos Não Identificados. And I have been working with them for 18 years now. The group was established right after the World War II, so we're talking about a 50 years old group, more or less. It's the oldest in Brazil.
Were there sightings back then in Brazil in 46, 47?
Yes, many. Okay. And the president was, at that time we didn't have the jets in Brazil, so we had the Thunderbolt group. He was one of the pilots, okay, of the Thunderbolt fighters at that time. So he is the president. He started this group at that time. So we have many experiences in the field. We work on the field. We don't do office investigation. Okay, we go to the field. I am the ranger. I am the one who goes through the woods. I am the one who says, stay in the car. I go there on the mud, sometimes rainy day, everything. We use walkie-talkies and things like that, compass. So I have a little experience, I should say that. I never met Mr. Ubirajara Rodrigues, which is now my partner on Virginia.
He was on the stage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Now he's back to Virginia.
Oh.
He has to work tomorrow morning.
Okay.
He's a lawyer.
Oh, he's
So, and let's go straight to the point. So I was in Belo Horizonte. That Sunday, I just bought a newspaper. It was in the beginning of February, 1996, some months ago. So I bought the newspaper, Estado de Minas paper. It's the biggest in our state. And I found his picture on a page saying, somebody in Virginia saw this weird creature. Later on, we have this Fantástico TV show. It's the biggest audience in Brazil since 1973. And I saw this report in Fantástico show, broadcast by Rede Globo Network.
Was Rodriguez in the report?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the first show. And then, right after that, on next day, Monday, I called my friends from our group, Sikoani, and said, did you hear that? Well, maybe we should have this meeting, and then we can establish what we can do to help to get involved with this, because it is in Minas Gerais state. Varginha is about 300 kilometers far from Belo Horizonte. Okay, so we had this meeting in my apartment. It's because I live alone, I don't have any kids, I'm not married. And then, considering that I'm from Três Corações, so I know the south of Minas Gerais, it would be easier for me to take care of this investigation, to go there and find out what was going on. So that's what I did the day after. So I'm talking about Tuesday. I went back to Três Corações where my mom lives. And I live in Belo Horizonte for 19 years now. So I went there. I checked the list, the telephone list, because I didn't know how to find Ubirajara. Didn't know him. So I called him and said, I'm Pacatini from the Sikoani. He said, oh, somebody from the Sikoani down here. Wow, how good, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I would like to meet you to understand what's going on. He said, okay, how about tomorrow? Okay, tomorrow after lunch. But before going to Três Corações, I called some friends going to Varginha. I called some friends from Belo Horizonte, friends in Três Corações. Três Corações means three hearts. It's the place where Pelé, the famous soccer player, was born. And some friends, I said, could you please check it out for me? Police people, army people, because it's a small town, 60,000 people.
Varginha?
No, Três Corações, my hometown. Okay, so I called some friends and said, could you please check around, stick your noses around there? I'll be there tomorrow, okay? Okay. So I got home, talked to mom, called Ubirajara. We set this meeting for the next day. So I was just there. Suddenly a friend of mine called and said, listen, buddy, as we say in Brazil, the jaguar is going to have some water. Like we say, o jaguar, a onça vai beber água. Jaguar is onça. So at that time, it was possible for me to meet the first military witness.
Already?
Yes, at that time. Easy like this. I was surprised. So we had this secret meeting. And I met this guy, and I recorded him for 42 minutes.
That's the recording, yes.
42 minutes. And then he said that on January the 20th, the fireman department had been involved with the capture of this weird creature down in this place, down in the woods in this place in Virginia. And he told me the whole story, that the creature was kind of dizzy, it was easy to capture, and the whole thing, okay?
So how did the military become involved in the first place? Why did he know?
Oh, we're going to reach that
Okay,
point.
all right.
So, this military, I'm calling the military in general because it can be somebody from the fire department, from the military police we have in Brazil, and from the army. So we are talking about 5,000 people in that area. So it's going to be hard to spot who's the guy who's talking to me, who are the guys, because I talked to 14.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the first one. So he told me everything. The fire department was called because in Brazil, problems with mad dogs, with snakes, sometimes we have some, or bees, or some wasp. something like that. You call the fire department, it's their responsibility. So somebody called the fire department and say, well, we have this weird thing here. It might be a different monkey or something like that. Could you please take care of this situation? So the fire department, Major Maciel, was in charge in Varginha at that time. So he said,
Is this Major Maciel, is he a major in the fire department?
Yeah, but he was the most graduated official there.
High-ranking?
High-ranking, yes.
Okay.
So he was commanding the fire department at that time. Now he's in Poços de Caldas, another town about 1 hour far from Varginha. So Major said, oh, you guys, 4 of them, you go there and you take care of the situation. So they took this net and gloves and went there to capture this weird monkey. But suddenly, they called from the radio and said, Major, you better come here because we have this bizarre, weird thing, and also the army, the Três Corações army, it's already here with a truck. So Major went there. Isn't it interesting? So we're going to reach to a very interesting point. So Major went there. When he got there, he got to know that these 4 guys went down this incline, this hill, down there in the woods, and captured a very weird thing, like big head, big round eyes, no pupils. The skin looked like somebody has painted with some oil or something like that. It was a little glowing, not really glowing. You know when you have oil?
Shiny like oil.
Yeah, like that. So.
And this, let's be clear, this is the 20th of January.
Yes, we're talking about 10 a.m.
10 a.m., okay.
I haven't met Ubirajara at that point.
The 20th is a Sunday.
No, it was a Saturday. Okay, I haven't met Ubirajara, not yet, in our story. So, long, thin arms, going down the knees like this, and short, thin legs, big foot, big feet.
They have toes?
What?
Do they have toes?
At that time, he couldn't get this information at that time.
Okay.
I got this later. And a very, very strong smell of ammoniac. I don't know how you say it.
Ammonia.
Yes. And
Do you have any clothes on?
No, nothing. Very, very interesting. It was naked. No sexual organs, nothing like that. And
How tall?
well, it was about in Brazil. We
Metric, sure.
yes, the metric.
Show us.
Canada too.
It is about 160 centimeters. We say 1 meter and 60 centimeters.
That's 4 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many fingers?
Now, at that time, we didn't have this information because it was really fast operation. They got there, surrounded the creature, and threw the net on the creature, grabbed it, and went up this hill, this inclined thing to go to the street up there. And the creature was alive, and it was producing this sound like a bee, like it was the only thing they could hear at that time.
There was no blood. They didn't image damage him.
No. But the creature was easy. It was easy to capture. Not.
He wasn't running away.
No, it was a piece of cake. Easy. Okay. So I recorded.
Sorry, can I just? This may be later. As I understand it yesterday, there was talk that some children had been throwing stones at the creature.
Okay, I was just going to this point. Okay, so this inclined place here. So we have this little plateau, as we say in Portuguese here, before going down. Okay, the end of this district, Jardim Andere district, then you go down this hill, the woods, and then you have Santana district. The girls at that time were coming from Jardim Andere district to go to Santana district. So that's how it happened. Okay, but going back. At this place here, before going down to the woods, 6 civilians, and among them 3 kids, were just there throwing rocks on the creature. And this creature was in the middle of this incline place, the hill, before going down to the woods. It was here in the middle. So the kids, I don't know why kids do that sometimes.
This was before the fire officials got there.
Yes, they were there. When the firemen got there, they said, please, could you please
Yes.
step back because we're working here. Uniform, people, yes, I'm sorry. So they put these people away. But we know it was 6 civilians. They threw some rocks on the creature and then it went down the woods. So the firemen went there and captured. Okay, 42 minutes of recording with this guy. So next day I went to Virginia. So, oh, Birajara, glad to meet you. I'm Pacatini, blah, 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 blah. Could you tell me the story so I can understand what's going on? So he told me that the girls, and then I think you know the story. So the girls were going home from work. They work as a maid. So they were cleaning somebody's house there in Jardim Anderes district. So in order to make this shortcut, because from their district they can go, like Jardim Anderes is here, Santana is here, Santana district, the woods here. So they have to take this route like this, going this way to reach here. So they decided not to do this. They decided to make this shortcut. So they went through this way to reach the road, not the road, the street here. So they saw this creature around here on their way home. Okay? Jardim Anderes.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So what did they see at that time? This creature bending down like this, one hand between the leg, other hand behind here, facing the ground like this.
Like it's trying to hide?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, one of the girls, Liliane, 16 years old girl, she saw that and she screamed, and the creature did like this. Oh, it was enough. They thought it was the devil. Big round eyes, brown skin, dark brown skin, like somebody has put some oil on that. And
the eye color was red, is that right?
the eyes?
Uh-huh.
Big, round, and red eyes.
So this is now 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yes. So the girls saw
A
the
separate creature.
Yes, that's the point. But Ubirajara didn't hear from me about the tape I had recorded the day before.
So this is creature number 2.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
So,
Or 3 or 4.
Yeah. Okay.
So, they saw this creature there. They screamed and they ran away. One more point. We know from this military that the fireman gave the creature, the first creature, to this army troop. It was 3 of them, 2 sergeants and 1 major. Put in this Mercedes-Benz C1418 model, as we say in Brazil, with some camouflage painting on the truck, and that canvas stuff behind where you can put the troops down there. So they put this creature, the first one, they put in this 1 meter, square meter wood box, just with the net and everything, just put the creature in there and cover this with a piece of canvas, a bag, canvas bag. And from outside the truck, you could hear this, and they just took it away to Três Corações town, where we have this army school. It's the biggest in South America. They have this war machine there. I mean, engineers, people, tanks and machine guns and everything. It's a big place. It's just huge. They have all these war things there. So for us, it's very almost impossible to believe that the militaries took it away 10 p.m. in the morning and brought it back to put in that place so the girls could see the creature. Doesn't make any sense.
No, of course
so we're
not.
talking about the second one.
Right.
But Ubirajara didn't know this at that time. So I heard him. He explained everything. He was a little lost, like, getting pieces from a puzzle and couldn't get a link.
Uh-huh.
So I just heard the story. I said, yeah, okay, man. So now let me tell you my story. And at that time, we realized that we were talking about two creatures. Okay, many things happened. Many things happened. Many UFO sightings for over 12 cities around Virginia, about 115 kilometers far from Virginia. Many different Alfenas, Boa Esperança, Três Corações, Fama, Areado.
All on the same day or around that period?
Around
Years
the period.
before, yeah.
Okay, around.
How big a town is Virginia?
They have 180,000.
Oh,
Okay, so it's a real
Yeah.
city. This,
It is.
It's not a village. It's
Yes, a very industrial city. They have many multinational companies. They're a very rich city. Okay, fancy people, fancy cars, imported cars.
This is not jungle area.
No way, no way. Minas Gerais state is a very developed state, you know.
so after the girls saw this creature, then what?
Well, so they went home and said, "Mom, we saw the devil. It was just horrible." And their mom said, Mrs. Louisa, she said, "Well, we're a Catholic family. We go to church every week. If the devil is showing up to you, you have to show up to me." So she got a ride with this friend, this neighbor, and went there. When she got there, moments later, she didn't see anything, but she could feel this very strong smell of ammonia
Okay.
at that
Okay.
time. And two footprints, you know, because this place is just an empty place where they're going to build some house sometime. So we had this grass, a little grass here and there, and mud.
Yeah.
Okay, so she saw these two footprints.
Unusual, obviously, or she wouldn't have noticed.
What shape? Oh, show us again. Hold that up. Like that.
Like that. I can do this. Mr. Spock can do it better. Like this.
Like V shape.
Yeah. So,
That's different.
well, so we had many UFO sites. Virginia was just going insane. Everybody, every night, every single night, people on the street. I'm talking about hundreds of people going on the streets, seeing objects, filming. We have the films.
How did the media in Virginia, the newspapers, radio, television, how were they treating the subject?
Well, they're just on our side.
Oh, okay. This was not a ridicule situation.
No way, no way.
That's good because that set the stage then for them to give fair coverage to whatever.
Yes, they just we're working together.
Great. Okay.
So
Okay.
we just blew the story in this country at that time. So many witnesses having their cars followed by strange luminous object. Some of them going from left to right and vice versa. Some of them stopping in front of the cars. Some of them following the cars at close range, like this. The car going and the object going above the car like this. A doctor has passed through this experience. Doctors, people, businessmen, many different people. We talk about 65, 67 different witnesses.
All within a short period of time.
Yes.
A
yes.
short distance.
But the point is, this thing is still happening. It didn't stop, not yet. Okay.
So now we got two bodies. One has been captured.
Wait a minute. We're jumping
Okay, we
ahead.
got to the mum and the girls at the site.
That's right.
She's seen the footprints.
Okay, go ahead.
Got a strong smell of ammonia.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, many UFO sightings. Well, one day I had this call from a man saying, "I would like to report a sighting. Could you meet in this place downtown in Três Corações?" I said, "Okay." So I went to this place to meet this guy that I didn't know. I just parked the car. A friend of mine, when I was young, saw me parking the car, crossed the street and said, "God sent you here. I need to talk to you." I said, "Why?" "Because I know a military who wants to talk to you." He was afraid, but now he knows that this is really serious and he wants to talk. And also they said, he's my friend, because I was in television at that time. I was in the newspapers, magazines, because we blew the story to the rest of the country. So we set this secret meeting, a different one. I'm talking about the second one.
Right.
So he said that this convoy on January the 22nd came from Três Corações to Virginia, 3 trucks First one was driven by soldier Cirilo. Second one by Corporal Vassalo. Third one by soldier De Mello. They went to Varginha and they followed this Volkswagen Bug, a yellow one, with the lieutenant from the Secret Service of the Army Secret Service. So this guy called each one of them to go with him, following him, downtown Varginha, going to many different places, stopping at Humanitas Hospital. They do many kinds of surgeries there. It's a very nice hospital. And Humanitas Hospital, it's in a place almost going out Varginha. So it's nearly
suburban, or?
Yes, it's almost suburban area. From there, you can go to the main road, to go to Três Corações, like this. You don't have to go downtown. You have a specific street where you go, and then you reach the road, the main road. So they went there, each one of them. So what happened? They saw more than 15 doctors in the backyard. Okay, they made the maneuvers.
At the hospital?
At the hospital. They made the maneuvers, and they went reverse, if I'm making myself clear.
Backed up?
Back up, through this big gate, and stopped the truck. 15 or more than 15 different doctors.
Were these doctors, or were these doctors, and they could have been doctors and nurses?
No, no.
These were all doctors?
Yes, because we checked that thing later.
So this hospital, that's a lot of doctors for one hospital?
Yes. But the point is, in the backyard, they saw fireman vehicle, military police vehicle, many people with uniforms from the fireman department, many people from the military police with specific uniform. These guys that looking like doctors with, how do you call that thing? We say stethoscope.
Stethoscope.
The heart. With stethoscopes hanging around their necks, with that white uniform, that thing here, and that mask. And the smell was just terrible, burning the noses because it was so awful.
They were all wearing masks?
Yes. And tell me, you guys, what smell we're talking about?
Ammonia.
Yeah. So, what they saw, this military that I taught, what he knew about this. I don't want to say that he was involved, because if you tell this to the press, the guy goes to the jail.
No.
He was involved in this operation, okay?
Yeah.
That's part of this operation. So he saw this wood box with this creature lying on, okay? Half of the box, because the other half was inside the place there. Oh, they had this tripods, like this, on the ground, with this wood box laying over.
Like a trestle stand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So they saw this creature there, and how it looked like somebody who has painted with oil, big, round, ugly eyes, 3 things on the head, because the girl saw these 3 different things on the head, but maybe there are bumps or something like that. I don't know how you call that.
We don't either. But...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so 3 fingers. 3 fingers.
Short?
Yeah, no, kind of long. 3.
No thumb?
No thumb.
Okay.
3. And the creature was lying like this, with the legs a little bit like this. So he could see the feet, I mean, like this.
Yeah.
Does that mean that the box was too short for the creature to lay flat?
Excuse me?
It was flat. Oh, you mean the creature was bigger than the box a little bit?
Yes, it was only half of the box. The other half that would be covering this one wasn't there yet.
But was it on a diagonal, the creature, for example? Or I'm just trying to get a handle on size.
Okay, just to give it an idea. It was like this. Okay? Like the box here, supported by this 2 tripod thing. And the creature was like here. Understand?
Yeah.
So they needed the other half to covered and locked.
The lid.
Yes,
The
but
lid.
the other half wasn't there yet. Was inside the hospital.
Okay.
Okay.
Was this creature alive?
No, it was dead. It was dead.
Could you tell how it was dead?
Well, because it didn't move, and also a doctor came over here with this, how do you call that thing?
Scalpel, the sharp knife?
No. Do you have a pencil? May I borrow this pencil? You know that thing like this that doctors use to get cotton on
Oh,
something?
forceps, yeah.
Forceps. Okay. He came here, opened this little, it wasn't a mouth, it was a slit. Oh, just a slit. Opened this and grabbed the tongue and just pulled out the mouth like this. It was black, like a ribbon. Black and thin like a ribbon.
Why did he do that, do you think?
I don't know. He was examining or something like that. So many people in the backyard. There was this guy, this lieutenant, we call S2. It means he belongs to the Army Secret Service.
Yeah, that's
Was
intelligence in
filming
the U.S.
Okay. He was filming the whole thing, this guy, with this JVC camera.
So he filmed the doctor pulling the tongue out.
Everything.
Oh.
Everything. It was black. And then he just released the tongue and it went straight back to the mouth, into the mouth. It was,
Did it look like a snake's tongue, like forked or?
no, he couldn't see that. He just
Okay.
saw it was black and thin like a ribbon.
Okay.
Like a frog catches bugs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay.
More details. The knees and this part of the legs were wounded. I also asked, it was a shot, it was knife, or it was a hit or something. No, like you have scratched.
Yeah.
Abrasions, yeah.
Yes, here in the knees and all over here,
Okay.
both of the legs. So,
No sexual organs,
no, it was naked.
Okay.
no nipples.
No nipples, nothing.
Belly button?
No belly button, and the head was big and bigger than ours.
Okay.
Big head, like this, with these 3 bumps or horns or things
Uh-huh.
here. So,
They seem to have bones.
I don't know. They seem to
You
be
said
very
knees,
soft
though,
creatures.
but so there was a joint here.
He has a joint.
Is there an elbow?
You couldn't see because the creature was this way,
Okay.
and the legs were this way. So it was really, how do you say when the skin is like this?
Wrinkled?
Wrinkled here, very wrinkled here on the knees.
Okay.
So, they covered up, locked it, and went to Tres Corazones, to the army school. Well, it was in January the 22nd. The 23rd, they went to Campinas, the same convoy. We had this operation controlled by Lieutenant Colonel Olímpio Vanderlei. He was there in the hospital. Colonel Olímpio Vanderlei was there. He was in charge of this operation. Also, Lieutenant Tiberio was involved, Captain Ramirez, and Sergeant Pedrosa. Sergeant Pedrosa went to Campinas with this convoy.
How far?
4 hours.
Ooh.
Campinas is in São Paulo state,
Oh, okay, so down.
okay? Because Campinas, we have Unicamp University. It's a very advanced place. We have high technology there, many things. So we know because the guy who was involved in this operation went to Campinas in this convoy. That's why we know, okay? But please, you don't talk about this. We put the guy in jail.
Yeah.
So they went to Campinas. In Campinas, they just stopped the trucks, the convoy, in another military facility they have there. And
This is with the alien that they've taken from the hospital,
yes,
or the creature.
well, by now we're talking. By now we're talking about 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So the point is, then we will go back to Campinas later. My brother Eduardo, 11 months older than me, he's now a doctor. He's got his PhD degree in Campinas. So we know about Campinas and many other things there because of him. Okay? But then we had many calls, many people, many clues, people calling, people talking. And then a lawyer came up and said, I need to make this statement to you. I was so afraid, because of the military, these people, they're not easy. But now I'm seeing that you have been working really hard. I want to tell you something. At that time, he couldn't be specific about the date. But he said, at that time, many people, I was talking about Jardim Andere district and Santana district here, the woods here, where the creature was captured, 10 a.m. by the firemen. He lives here in Santana, and from Santana, he saw on the street here, for many days, army trucks riding around. And he was so curious that one of those days, he went out there at lunchtime to see what was going on. From here, I mean that plateau place before going down the hill to the woods, he saw 7 army people with that camouflage uniform holding rifles. We have this fall rifle in Brazil, 7.62 millimeters. You people from England use that kind of caliber in Falklands War. It's the same one.
Right.
So that's the caliber, the official caliber
It's
of
the self-loading rifle, SLR.
So he saw the 7 guys online going, because we have this woods here, okay? But here is pasture. You have some cattle here. It's a kind of a flat place here. So they came from here, from the right to the left, into the woods, online, like this, like they were sweeping something. You know what I mean? Going this way. Okay, this lawyer from up here saw this group going inside. So a few moments later, he heard 3 shots, rifle shots. And then, some moments later, he saw the same group coming out from the woods with 2 bags. One of the bags, canvas bag, they use for camping. One of the bags, something was moving inside. The other one, nothing was moving. Many people from Santana district saw these guys here too. I'm talking about 11 witnesses who saw from Santana. He was up here before going down the hill.
Was he in a car or just walking?
No, he stopped the car and went out to see what was going on. Why that army truck was riding around there for some days at that time. So he was curious. He went there. He didn't know anything. So then we have this question.
What date was this?
That's the point. He wasn't specific. He said it was around that time. But we know it's specific because he couldn't remember. We talked about this witness here.
What you mentioned that there were 11 other witnesses. Surely one of those must have known the date.
No, yes, but that's what we asked. They couldn't be specific either.
But
so they say
we're talking about either the 20th or the 21st.
Yes, we're talking about maybe
that weekend, a Saturday or a Sunday.
No, probably we are talking about days before the 20th. Probably, as we understood at that time. We're talking about the 18th or the 19th or something like that, or maybe the 20th. But they saw at that. When I say at that time, because the TV shows were showing the programs and reporting January the 20th. So people talk about that time is January the 20th. They couldn't be specific. But then one point is very interesting. What happened? Why these military people with this camouflage uniform going inside the woods, heard the shots, coming out with these things, with this bags? What happened? We didn't know at that time. Okay, but are we talking about 2 more creatures? We didn't know at that time. But let's go back to the very beginning. So we have here the street. The end of the street is the end of Jardim Andere district. Then you go down the hill and the woods are down here. 3 blocks. The girls saw the creature here. it was 3:30 p.m. The fireman has captured, it was January the 20th, okay? The fireman has captured the first one, January the 20th, 10:30 a.m. So, isn't it strange? What the hell is this creature doing here? it doesn't make any sense, because intelligent people coming from space with spacecraft or things like that, being here just to be captured, like,
With no clothes, no tools, I take it, no objects.
nothing.
And dizzy.
Yeah, and defenseless. I mean, see, why this thing, what doing here? For what?
Where's the woods that
Down here.
they swept and shot? Okay, that's down there.
They came from here into the woods.
And what time of day was that?
It was lunchtime.
Okay.
Okay, so since the first one was given directly to the army truck at that time, and we know the people involved, we know the names, we know everything. And this one here was the one that the girl saw.
Probably the one that got away.
Yes, probably this is the one who went to the hospital. Probably this is the one that this army convoy took from the hospital, probably. Why? Because we know from the military police witness.
Now, how to get to the hospital?
Well, I'm going to tell, because I
Okay.
met this other friend who said, God sent you here. I want to introduce you to a military who wants to talk to you.
Okay.
This guy told me. And then, we know that the second one was captured at January the 20th around 11 p.m. by the military police and the firemen. But at that time, they took their own cars, not official vehicles, own cars, regular clothing, went there, surrounded the area, and captured the one.
So the girls have seen this, the mother's gone back because we broke up from
Yeah, but this is all grass here, high grass, like this. Probably
They
the,
smelled the strong smell of ammonia, but they never saw the creature again.
the mother's, the girl's mother,
Yes.
we're talking here.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay?
So she saw the creature and the creature ran off?
No, the girl saw the creature. The mother didn't see anything.
But she saw footprints and
And that's
smell.
where we left it.
Smell.
So that creature was still at large. You're now saying that that creature was later captured around 11 p.m. on the night of the 20th of
Yes,
January.
yes.
Because the fire crews came back in their own vehicles. Was this out of kindness, or was it curiosity, or had they been sent back there?
Well, because probably somebody called them. In Brazil, in the United States, it's 9/11. In Brazil, it's 190. You call the police, okay? So probably somebody had called the police or the firemen at that time. The fact is, these guys went there, and then we go to this very important thing. One of the guys somehow got involved with the creature. He went there, the policeman, this one here wasn't so easy to be captured. So the guys surrounded the creature, just, ran away. They go there again, surrounded the creature again. A little difficult to be captured. But somehow, this guy, one of the policemen, got involved with the creature. This guy died 2 days later. How come? Well,
This policeman's death, I mean, presumably this has all been recorded. That there must be
Records.
records of this.
yeah, no, because they are covering this whole story.
Well, this man must have a family. He must have records.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you. So, they took this guy to the regional hospital, the biggest one, not the most important one, but it's the biggest one, downtown. They made this, how do you say, somebody dies, you have to have a report.
Death certificate.
Oh?
A death certificate?
Yes, saying that it was pneumonia.
Ah.
The family asked for an autopsy. They said, no way, go home. Very simple people, military people, humble people. They go there and say, well, what happened to my son? Well, it was pneumonia, and that's it. We know where they buried the body. We know the family. We talked to the family. They want to go
That's
to the...
human.
Yes.
Can this be done?
What?
Can it be done?
Yes, it can. Well, we want to take them in front of the cameras. We're going to do this as soon as we can. Okay, then we have one guy dead. Was it because of some bacteria, some virus? We didn't know at that time. The fact is that one policeman died in this operation, okay? Well, I don't know if you remember, but I was saying that in January the 19th, this guy in this farm, 20 kilometers far from Virginia, saw this strange object that he thought it could be a submarine flying over the field. It was 19. What did he say? He said, no lights, no smell, no sound, but he has some mist or fog around. We thought that could be camouflage because in south of Minas Gerais it's cold, and probably he was using some camouflage, you know, like putting some fog around the ship or something like that. Okay. Some days later, we had this call from an Air Force officer saying that...
Brazilian?
Yes, saying that the Brazilian raiders had tracked many UFOs during that time, and they are still tracking these UFOs. And then we go straight to the point that I want. Somehow, the Americans, the United States government, told the Brazilian militaries about these UFOs coming to our country. And because it was so funny, how come the army people were so ready to do this whole operation, to cover it up?
How do you know the Americans were involved?
Because this guy from the Brazilian Air Force,
Who is this guy from the...
I can't tell you the name.
Somebody who's contacted you?
Yes, he spontaneously. He called because he said, I can't let it go this way. I can't keep my mouth shut. It was the Americans. They told the Brazilians, they tracked these UFOs coming into our planet. They told the Brazilian army, and what did they say? They said, we're tracking some object. Oh, we have two options. It landed or it crashed. Because it didn't rise again.
Right.
So the point is, we have now a military person from the Army school who saw the wreckage. We're talking about a UFO who crashed. Now we can understand a little bit of this. Mr. Friedman was talking about the Roswell case. Maybe we have this little Roswell case down in Virginia. Now things are making sense, because what is this creature doing here? When the girl saw it, probably it was defending its life, because the military was shooting some of its friends down here in the woods. Because it doesn't make any sense. How come? Doing here what? And what these creatures were doing in the woods, probably because their spacecraft crashed around here. Probably it's this one that this farmer saw flying over the field in January the 19th.
How far away is it?
10 kilometers. And if you go straight, it's about 1.5 or 2 kilometers. So probably this fog that we thought could be camouflage was something going wrong, some tilt, something going wrong with the spacecraft. It wasn't a big one. It was like a microbus, as we say in Brazil. And it had this shape, like this. Why he thought it was a submarine? Because it was long like this, with this little dome here, something like this. Like this.
Yeah.
Probably this thing was out of order. Something was going wrong, and this fog around here wasn't camouflage. So in the Roswell case, as you know, Mr. Friedman,
This little submarine.
yes, 5 meters.
5 meters.
5 meters on the field. So what it seems is that thing probably was not surveying the area to drop these creatures. We thought at the very beginning, probably this spacecraft was having some problem, something was going wrong, and this thing crashed. Probably it didn't break in many pieces. In some pieces, the fact is
Split
that
open, maybe.
yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
but we still have another question here.
yes.
We have a few.
Nothing I've heard so far would lead me to believe that these creatures were other than primitive. Is that a good word, I think? I mean, no clothes, no tools, disoriented. It's hard to believe that they were pilots, if you will, as opposed to cargo or robotic assistants or
Yeah.
whatever. So there's another, we don't know if there was a crash or
Now,
No,
okay.
no one reported wreckage.
no.
Okay.
Because it was so fast. Why it was so fast? The operation. Because the militaries were waiting for something. They were prepared for something. So that's why it was so fast. Because for us, it was
How about radar in the area?
we don't have any.
No military radar?
No.
What about this military school?
Yeah, they don't have it.
Well, what
It's
about
the Army school. They don't have anything related.
No
to
air bases?
what about
No.
the local airport?
No.
But it's 180.
The local airport is a tiny one.
It's like a, what do you call
It's
it?
just a,
Like a
just a place on the ground where you land an aircraft. It doesn't have any radar. But we know the guy who saw the wreckage in the truck.
Oh, in the truck.
So a strange metal, something silver, something really strange.
Okay, so we do have somebody seeing some wreckage.
Oh yes, not a civil witness, but a military one.
Okay.
This military one called his friend someplace else to say, because it's a very close friend, he said, you won't believe this. I just saw this convoy coming back to the Army school, and one of the trucks was carrying this pieces of metal, this silver weird metal.
Okay.
I couldn't see any wiring, anything like that. It was just weird.
No, there is no wiring.
Something like that. And then we know who this guy is. I sent him a message that I want to talk, and he said he's too afraid that I have to wait till the smoke gets down. You know, too much fire now. So
Did this Brazilian Air Force pilot, who presumably you've spoken to two of these people, you've spoken to this friend of the man who claims to have seen the wreckage. So you've not spoken to this man physically yourself.
not yet.
Have you spoken with this Brazilian Air Force pilot?
He called us. He called us. We have
You've
this.
not met him.
Which
So
Brazilian?
I'm going to meet him.
There is a Brazilian Air Force pilot who he said earlier
Yes.
had contacted them to say that I must talk with you.
okay. Oh, that's-
because
yeah.
the United States had contacted us in Brazil to say you have an object coming in and it's either going to land or it's crashed.
So that sounds like the space network.
Now, have you spoke with this Air Force pilot?
Through the telephone.
Do you know who he is?
Yes.
So he's given you his name, you know where he is.
Everything. And also, if you can keep it in secret, okay? He works in Belo Horizonte's airport, the biggest one in Minas Gerais. He operates the radar. He himself saw many UFOs on the radar. And he knows people from the Brazilian Air Force in Brasilia who told him that the government was covering up the whole thing. This UFOs flying around the Brazilian space. So when his friend from Três Corações called him to say, you won't believe, I saw this truck with this weird pieces of metal thing. And then he realized that really what he heard from his friend in Brasilia was true. The spacecraft really crashed, and he's afraid about some diplomatic problem because the Brazilian Air Force is not knowing about this because they talk directly to the Army people, not to the Air Force people. So he's now afraid.
If it's on the ground, it's the Army's.
It's
not the
Army
Air
problem.
Force.
That's it. And also, they were so lucky because the Army school, it's 20 minutes far by car from Virginia. So we have this very big facility in Tres Corazones. So it was piece of cake. They go, you better take care because some spacecraft have crashed in this latitude, longitude. You go there and check it out. So it was easy because, you know, let me tell you, I'm a patriot, but let me tell you, the Brazilian militaries are so dumb. It's hard to it was hard to understand for me and my partner Birajara, how come they were so prepared? How come they could do? Most of them can hardly sign their names.
Well, there is something else that you have to recognize. The United States is very anxious to get a hold of any re-entering Soviet or other spy satellite or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons for the Space Network from above looking down is to see where these things are coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and then to alert somebody with
Yes.
a quick recovery team,
Yes.
because they're desperate to get a hold of this technology and the cameras and the film and, you know, everything else.
Yes.
So it's not just if a flying saucer comes down.
Yes.
That's just one of many things. There's plenty of junk up there with which they would pay very well
Uh-huh.
to, you give it to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in Brazil,
No, it's many places down in south of Minas Gerais. I'm talking about 12 different cities. This one specific, this one. So, but on April 21st, this lady, Terezinha Klepp, was in this restaurant surrounded by woods. So she felt like smoking. She went to the porch because she didn't want to disturb the people there with the smoke.
April the 21st.
Yes, April the 21st. So all of a sudden she was there just smoking, having a cigarette
And where is this?
in Virginia, in a restaurant surrounded by woods, and you can see, you can even spot the spiders around the bamboos and trees. It's really a beautiful place. And then she went to the porch to have the cigarette. All of a sudden, she was just there, sitting there, smoking. This creature, about 5 meters far from her, just appeared, looking at her. It was 9 o'clock on a Sunday.
Morning, night.
Night. And the place has no lights, only in the restaurant. So the woods were dark. The place was dark, and she was there. What did she see? She saw this brown, big head with this big, round, red, devilish eyes or something like that, really ugly, a slit. But how come if it was dark and the light in the porch wasn't enough? All she could see was because some light was coming from the eyes, not like a flashlight, but, you know, surround. So she could see it was black, dark brown skin, looking like somebody has put in some oil. Okay? Just a slit in the place of the mouth, and this big red eyes, but some light was coming, and from this light, from the eyes, she could see the color brown around here. Okay? It was April the 21st, 9 o'clock.
how big?
She said, because we have this, you know when you have a porch and you have a place, or we have this thing, a fence, not a fence.
Yeah.
A railing.
Yes, it was above. And this, you say railing,
Railing. A rail.
was this tall. And the creature was here. So we're talking about 1 meter 60 or 65, 1 meter and 65.
So to all intents and purposes,
4 feet.
a similar
Plus or
creature.
minus,
But
yeah.
by now, of course, this woman has obviously seen television, newspaper reports. She's had descriptions of.
It's 4 months later.
That's why she called us to say that she, but at that time,
3 months,
because
yeah,
she's,
3 months.
she's 67, she doesn't watch TV as much,
Right.
and she's Catholic. For her, she saw the devil. So now she can't sleep. She won't go.
Did she call anybody? Did it leave?
She talked to the family. It took 1 week for them to realize that that thing was so important, and they heard some rumors about a creature this girl saw in seeing this creature. So they decided after 1 week to call us to say what happened. And she was shaking like this, smoking, you know, she was really scared about it. She can't sleep. Okay, but then On May the 15th, this guy, Hildo, 20 years old, he was coming from Três Corações to Varginha. It's the road I use every day. I go and go back to Três Corações, go to Varginha and go back to Três Corações every day. So he was going to a curve, and after that curve, we have the road going straight up. He was in a van we call Vesta by Asia Motors. It's Korean.
Yeah.
The Vesta. That one that we just came
Yes,
to. That
I
one.
was going to say.
That one. He was 100. He was riding about 100 kilometers per hour. So just made the curve, and then he saw May 15th. He saw this creature about to cross the road. He was like this, coming from that place you park on the road. How do you call that place? Parking place.
Lay-by.
Yes. Here, some woods here, some grass, high grass here. He was about to cross the road. He made the curve and he saw the creature about 15 meters far from the car. And at that time, he saw that thing. He said, well, it's a monkey. I'm going to hit a monkey or something. So he was riding with low beam. So he clicked to high beam. And at that time, that creature did like this. Looked at him. What did he see? He saw this red, big, strange eyes. And this brown, strange thing like some oil was on it. And something on the head, because the creature did like this. And then put the hands on the face so he could see here, because the van was coming from that way. So he was intelligent. He did like this. Covered the face, turned around, and got inside the grass, the high grass. But this place specifically is right in front of the farmer house who saw this strange object on January the 19th. It's just amazing. It's right in front of, if you go down the same field that the object was flying here, the road I'm talking about is right here, above there, up there. And the creature was coming from this pasture, from this place here, in order to cross to the other side of the road. The guy got so, I said, why didn't you stop? So Calcala was alone, but you weren't in the car. Well, I didn't know that creature was alone too. So he just went away.
He did not hit him.
No, because the creature just turned around, put the hands, thin, long arms. He could see this, like this, and went back to the high grass. So he didn't hit it, and he went away. He was so scared about it. Okay, so probably something is still going on. Are they looking for their friends? I don't know.
Could be a bus, a cargo load of strange animals that, you know, it happens in the States every once in a while. A vehicle will crash, zoo animals, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for weeks they're trying to recapture the animals that get away, which are not native to the area, and we're being hauled for who knows what purpose. But what I'm getting at here is I'm still thinking here. Something maybe crashed from outer space, wreckage, the whole thing. We have the beings, creatures that don't belong there. Nobody's ever reported hunting in the woods and look what I saw kind of thing. On the other hand, we don't have sophistication on the animals, the creatures. So that suggests a lower order. So if you were taking a plane load, a saucer load of strange creatures, either to or from, or hybrids of some kind, or breeding stock for chemicals, or who knows what.
Yeah.
It sounds like there were a bunch of them.
Yes.
It's
Have you counted? We're talking about 5 or 6, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to think about all of them.
Yes.
If one could stay there for as long as from January to May. Now, no sexual organs, doesn't sound like they reproduce themselves. It sounds like clones or whatever. Now, John, isn't it true that on occasion people act as if the beings on board the craft, they're the guys who do the dirty work, they're the smarter guys and smarter than them?
Right, right.
So
Right.
These
These things may
an
not.
answer. What I'm saying is, we have other possibilities than that these are the guys who fly saucers.
That's it. For us, they're so rude. As we say in Portuguese, são tão rudes. They're so rude, so
Crude.
Yes, so crude. Are they able to manage spacecrafts, something like that? Maybe something genetic manipulated for some specific mission on the ground, so the smart guys are just flying over, not running the risks.
Yeah.
But maybe something went wrong. Or maybe our logic cannot be used on the case.
Accidents happen.
Accidents happen.
For the craziest reasons.
Yeah, perfect, only God. God is perfect.
I have a question, completely separate.
Completely separate case.
So where does it stand now? Have the military told people to shut up? The firemen, all?
Yes. Well, if somebody pronounces my name in the Army school, it's 10 days in jail now.
Wow.
So we have many threats. I had 2 in my mom's house in Três Corações, 2 in Ubirajara's house, 4 in my apartment in Belo Horizonte.
Telling you to shut up?
No, I'm gonna kill you. You're gonna. And also, somebody from the Army school told me, I have talked to 14 different militaries. I have recorded every one of them.
With their knowledge, or?
Everyone, yes.
And you still have those tapes, right?
Sure.
Good.
I hope you've duplicated them and
Sure.
sent another set
More
to
than
your
that.
lawyer.
More than that. So, if they die, if a comet hit them, no problem. I have it already in my hand.
Where does John Mack fit into this?
Okay, so Bob Pratt was coming to Brazil with Cynthia Newby-Luce. It's
Yes, he's
somebody
told me
from
about her.
Macon is living
Yeah.
here. So
She's gone on many investigations.
Yes, she went to Virginia, and I told them everything, but it was at that time. So what they could know at that time was half of the story, because it was in March.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting new information day by day.
Yeah.
So, Doutora Gilda Moura from Rio de Janeiro, who is a colleague. Who's a
Yeah, I know her.
He knows her.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. John Mack.
Right.
She was at a conference at MIT that he was at. As
Right.
well as
That's it. So she was so anxious to go to Virginia to get to know about the case. And Professor was invited to be in Brazil. I don't know specifically why. He was doing some investigation, probably.
Oh, okay.
So Doutora Gilda took him there. So we put the girls and Dona Terezinha Klepp with him. He had this, when you go to a doctor's place to have this, how do you say?
Surgery, counseling.
Counseling, that's it. For over 2 hours. Dona Terezinha separately from the girls. So he had this conversation, asking many questions alone. I was just translating. Okay?
Oh, okay. So who was the translator?
Yeah. I didn't interrupt. I didn't say anything. So after that, he said, I can answer to any judge or before the justice of this country, and also I bet my, we say cátedra in Portuguese.
Diploma?
My diploma, my Harvard diploma, and my Harvard work, because he's a teacher there.
Right.
That Dona Terezinha and the girls are telling the truth. The truth. So, after that, if somebody asks me what I'm thinking about the girls, I say, don't ask me, you go to Harvard. Ask to a PhD guy there. Okay?
She didn't talk to the girls, or did she?
No,
Dr. Amora?
Never.
Okay.
So, many things. So people in Army school in Três Corações, a military, one of the guys that I have talked to, said that Coronel Olímpio Vanderlei has said that I'm going too far with this. That I'm, as we say in Brazil, that I'm putting some shit on the fans. And
We
maybe,
say that in the States.
Yeah.
maybe it's time to shut me up. Okay? So we had this threat by telephone. I'm wearing, you don't have to mention this, but I'm wearing, not now, not here, but I'm wearing this bulletproof vest. And of
Where
course,
does the press fit in? Have any of the newspapers made an all-out effort to dig into this? Or?
they are on our side.
Well,
We go to the press almost every week. Papers, television, different shows, different networks.
I should mention something else. You bring up Roswell, but as I'm sure you're aware, Leonard Stringfield collected more than 50 reports of crash saucers. He didn't investigate them, their stories. We have a new document, I showed one page of it, that suggests that there was an operations manual for dealing with the recovery, handling, shipping of wreckage, bodies, etc. You don't do that manual if nothing has happened since 1947. What you have said makes it sound like somebody was prepared to deal with something coming down. So it may well be that rather than a link to Roswell, there's a link to 40 other cases
You're
in
right.
which craft have come
I just
down.
mentioned Roswell because you
That's
have
the
your
best
conference.
known, yes. Yeah.
But also, I'm telling you, the militaries in Tres Corazones, I know most of them down there, they're, as you say, United States, they're dumb as a dunnet. So they of course they're not ready to work with such a thing like that. They were prepared previously by somebody else. How come so fast? And now we can understand what this creature was doing here, probably struggling for its own life.
No helicopters circling the area?
2 jet fighters. 2 jet fighters before. This guy, this lawyer who saw the militaries with the rifles and heard the shots, saw 2. We call F5. But
That's unusual for them to be...
they don't fly there. Never. So probably this creature here was just trying to save its life.
Yeah.
Probably the army people down here started this whole thing, you know, like shooting everything around, and the creatures just spreading around, like you say when the ship is going down in the middle of the ocean, it's sinking. You say, may God help every one of us, so each one take care.
Yeah.
You know, so probably this happened. Now we know from the guy, he controls the Belo Horizonte's radar, the radar from the Belo Horizonte's airport, that the UFOs were flying around here. We know this guy. I know who he is. I'm just preparing him to talk to me, okay? His wife, this guy, said, no, he's going to destroy our lives. He said, no. He has talked to many people. I know. He has talked to many people inside the army school. Didn't mention any name. So I'm preparing. The guy saw the wreckage. So we have the couple, wife and husband, who saw on January the 19th this thing like this flying over the field. We have many witnesses who had met these weird creatures. So probably we're thinking that at first, at the very beginning, that they were surveying the area to drop some creatures for some mission. Now we're understanding that they had some problem and crashed. And these creatures are now in this God's world trying to survive. My brother, then we go to my brother. Okay, my brother said, and he was positive because he knows, the professor who was following him in his PhD,
His advisor.
as an advisor, knows personally Dr. Badam Palhares, and he told my brother, and he's home, he didn't talk through the telephone, he said, I need to talk to you personally. He went there and said, Dr. Badam Palhares had made this necropsy, I don't know how you say it. Autopsy. But he cannot do it alone because he needs some expert, DNA expert and many others. So they had involved many people, not only from Unicamp University, but from many other cities around, using many other facilities, because we had mentioned Unicamp and people now is watching Unicamp. So probably they took it away from there.
But for most testing, you'd only need small samples.
Yes, but how many of them? They moved to Unicamp and from Unicamp to other place. We're now talking about 5 or 6 creatures, I don't know. Some of them are still alive, walking on the grounds around there, as Ildo saw on May 15th, as Dona Terezinha saw on April 21st. Okay? Lunchtime? That suit, or something like that.
Well, even without it, they don't have
Maybe they
sexual
have this
organs.
brown oil suit by some reason, and then you cannot identify.
Well, I'm asking questions only because I hadn't heard it asked before.
Oh, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
question that was obvious if they're naked.
I've got
And with the girls and stuff,
I've got
what
about-
did they see?
I've got about, actually losing the battery is not too bad a thing.
Now let's take a look at some photos and drawings which illustrate this important case in Varginha. Pictured here in the red sweater is Aurelina Augusta, and to the right, Mr. Eurico de Freitas. This is the farming couple who saw a submarine-shaped object at 1 a.m. on the morning of January 20th. The object was 5 meters off the ground, gray in color, and the size of a minibus. It emitted smoke, but there was no sound. The farm is approximately 10 kilometers from the Jardim Andir district. This is an artist's conception of that strange object coming down at 1 a.m. on January 20th, silently but yet stirring animals on the farm. The gentleman in the center of the photograph is a famous Brazilian journalist, Goulart de Andrade, speaking with farmer Eurico de Freitas and Aurelina Augusta. Also present in the picture at the right is Pacacini. It is the morning of January 20th, 8 a.m., when a call came to the Varginha Fire Department reporting that a strange monkey had been sighted and to please come take care of it. Even though the call came to the fire department at 8 a.m., in typical Brazilian style, they responded at 10 a.m. to go get the weird-looking monkey. This is the Varginha Fire Department headquarters. Corpo de Bombeiros de Varginha is its proper title. Bombeiros is Portuguese for firemen. This is number 3 Switzerland Street in the Jardim Andir district of Varginha. Just to the left is where the fire truck parked and where the children were getting rocks to throw at the creature down the slope. A Brazilian investigator stands at the top of the hill looking down the grassy slope towards the woods and the Santana district or neighborhood in the distance. It was on this slope where the creature was first sighted, and the firemen went down with their nets to try to retrieve the creature as it looked back at them. The creature tried to run from them, but was rather dazed and easy to capture. Two Brazilian investigators stand at the top of this hill. In the middle of the hill is where the creature was actually captured. This is another view down that grassy slope toward the woods with the Santana district in the background. The creature was captured rather easily with a net by the two firemen. Notice the 3 horn-like protuberances on its head and the 3 long fingers. Then the 2 firemen brought the creature in the net up the hillside. It was making a strange bzz, 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 bzz sound as they carried it. The creature was captured. It was in the net. But as they came up to the road, the firemen found that military personnel were waiting for them, and that the military personnel would now take the body. This was witnessed by builder's assistant Henrique Jose. He had seen the 4 firemen capture the creature between 10:30 and 11 a.m. that morning. He saw them put it into a wooden box and then hand it over to military personnel who came on the scene. He reports that the creature was taken to the Escola de Sargentos de Armas, the ESA, which stands for the School of Sergeant at Arms. Still in the net, the creature is loaded into the box by the military personnel. It was then loaded onto the military truck, where it was taken away. Here, 2 Brazilian investigators, Ubarajara Franco Rodrigues and Clotaire Coveau, are at the site of the first encounter. As you can see, Varginha is hardly a village in the jungle. This is an industrial area with many nice neighborhoods. Just several blocks away from the first encounter is this area where houses are under construction. This was the area where the 3 young women saw the creature on the same day in the afternoon around 3:30 p.m. These are the 3 young women who made that sighting at 3:30 p.m. that Saturday afternoon, January 20th. In the forefront is Lillian, age 16, and behind her, her sister, Valkyria, age 14. They are sisters, and behind them is a young woman, Katia, age 22. All 3 were busy with their jobs cleaning houses, basically working as maids, and they were returning home from work. This is an artist's conception of the 3 women happily on their way home that day. Here the 3 young women decide to take a shortcut. The address of the building where the second creature was spotted is number 76 Benevenuto Bras Vieira Street, which adjoins empty land. They had no idea what they were about to see. Here, a Brazilian investigator crouches in the exact position and location where the creature was seen near the wall, as if it were trying to hide and not be seen by the young women. However, they did catch sight of the strange being and were startled, puzzled by what they were looking at. There, crouching next to the wall and not looking at them, was a strange creature which obviously to them was not any type of animal, nor was it any type of human being. They saw some kinds of protuberances on the head and some strange red veins on the back of the neck and shoulders. But they were not prepared for what they saw next. When it turned its head, they saw the large, glowing, red eyes with no pupils, and they knew that they were seeing something that to them felt like a demon or a devil. They were terrified by this sight. What on earth could possibly look like this? What could have such red glowing eyes and be alive and looking at them in such a way? They had no idea what they were seeing, and they never called it an alien. The three women did what just about anybody would do. They ran as fast as they could to get away, screaming and looking for someone that could come back and see what this thing was. But they just wanted to get away quickly. Here the two sisters, Lillian on the right, or on the left, and Valkyria on the right, are seen with their mother, who is on the far right in the red sweater. They found their mother and took her back to that spot where they'd seen the creature. Now the mother did not see the creature, but she certainly smelled that strong ammonia that was in the air, plus she saw two strange tracks which she could not explain. She believed her daughters. She knew they had experienced something very different. 16-year-old Lillian made a drawing, and here she presents it to the famous investigator Ubarajara Franco Rodriguez, one of the two chief investigators, along with Paccaccini, on the Varginha case. This is a close-up of that drawing by Lillian, noting the three horn-like protuberances, the large eyes with no pupils, and she does not even note a mouth, but she certainly remembers the veins which seem to stick out on the back of the neck and shoulders. Here's a drawing made by one of the other two young women. Several months later, Dr. John Mack of Harvard University, who is noted for his studies in UFO abductions, just happened to be in Brazil attending a conference and was brought down to Varginha to meet the two sisters who had seen this creature. He interviewed them for over 2 hours and was quite impressed by their sincerity, their trauma, and their credibility. I talked with him recently in person, and he and I both agree that this case in Varginha is very important, very credible, and these two young girls especially very sincere and sane. In fact, he stated he would stake his diploma on this case. It is believed that that same creature was then witnessed by other civilians and rounded up by military officials later that evening between 10 and 11 p.m. It was first taken to an emergency room, but immediately rejected and taken to the public hospital, which is shown here, the regional hospital in Varginha. It only stayed there for several hours, though. This is an artist's conception of two military personnel taking the captured creature into the regional hospital. After several hours, the creature was transferred to a private hospital, the Humanitas Hospital, on the outskirts of Varginha. On Monday, January 22nd, a convoy of trucks parked here between 3 and 6 p.m. opposite the Humanitas Hospital. A witness told that at 6 p.m. that evening, a second creature was already dead. Witnesses tell that the creature was kept in a quarantined area, heavily guarded by military personnel. Many doctors were seen coming and going, and only a few nurses were able to attend this creature, which apparently died within a day's time. This is an artist's depiction of what witnesses described. The strong smell of ammonia was apparent. The creature was dead, but now there was a new problem. Who would get the body? What would be done with it? Would the military have it? Would the doctors get it? Or would they somehow share in a joint operation? This creature, with the oily brown skin and the big red eyes, was laid out in a box on what Paccaccini called tripods, or what we might call sawhorses. This is another artist's impression, according to testimony by a military witness, of the scene inside the hospital. Soldiers from the Escuela de Sargentos de Armas, or the ESA, filmed the scene on a JVC video camera, according to this witness. This second creature was laid in a small box. The military officials present were Lieutenant Colonel Olimpio Wanderley, Lieutenant Tenente Tiberio, Captain Ramirez, Sergeant Pedrosa, Corporal Vasallo, Privates Mello and Carrillo. Many of the doctors were closely watched by the military because they did not want any information to leak out, even though the doctors were mystified and intrigued by this creature. This is the gate at the back of the hospital where a military truck was reported to have pulled up, gone through the gate, to get the creature that was now dead. This is how an artist depicted the military truck backing up to the cargo entrance in order to load the body onto the truck. 2 other military trucks were present, and the 3 left in a convoy, perhaps to confuse onlookers as to which truck actually contained the creature's body. At 4 a.m. on Tuesday, January 23rd, a convoy of military trucks and private vehicles, distinguished by a leading Volkswagen van, left Virginia for the Escuela Preparatoria de Cadets Campinas. This is the Army Cadet School at Campinas. This is a very big Army base situated approximately 300 kilometers from Virginia. Once the convoy arrived, the creature was transferred to the University of Campinas. There were many Brazilian investigators, and here are some of the more prominent ones. First we have Vittorio Paccaccini, Edison Boaventura. This is Uberjarara Franco Rodriguez. This is Claudio Cover. This is Gilda More, a psychologist who works with abductees in Brazil. She was the one who brought Dr. John Mack to see the 3 girls. Dr. John Mack is from Harvard University. There were other Brazilian investigators who assisted with this case. Many groups worked together on this most important Varginha case. Here, Vittorio Paccaccini meets the press, keeping the media abreast of the investigations that were going on. Sometimes he would brief them daily, sometimes weekly, but the information was well received, and Paccaccini did a good job. The Brazilian media did a good job presenting the facts to the people. This led to perhaps as many as 60% of the Brazilian people in believing that something quite serious had occurred. They were impressed by the number of witnesses, which numbered over 40 first-hand witnesses, and the press was clearly on the side of the people, trying to get to the bottom of this most interesting incident. Although this is a poorly framed picture, the lady on the far right is Terezinha Gallo Klepf, age 67, who reported seeing the strange creature behind the Varginha restaurant when she was outside smoking a cigarette on April 21st. Her husband is on the left. A Brazilian investigator stands at the railing behind the back of the restaurant, posing where the creature did and how the creature stood. Brazilian investigator Claudia Covo holds the drawing that Mrs. Klepf made from her April 21st encounter. Although it's not a very good picture, it depicted brown skin and large, round, red eyes. The skin seemed to be glistening as if slicked down by oil. This drawing is better in quality, but still lacks the right colors, because she did describe a dark brown, oily skin. You can see how she depicts a glistening on top of the head, and here are the large, red, round eyes. It is unclear what this glow is behind the head, but this is the position that the creature was seen. Here again are the three young women who saw the creature crouching by the wall on Saturday afternoon, January 20th. Valkyria, age 14 on the left, Katia, age 22 in the middle, and Valkyria's sister Lillian, age 16 on the right. An interesting footnote: 3 months later, on April 29th, Monday, at 10:05 p.m., the mother of the two sisters was approached by a man who offered her money if she could persuade her daughters to lie and change their story. The mother refused. That is the end of the drawings and photographs. But now we are going to hear several comments and further details as presented by A.J. Javard, head of MUFON in Brazil, the Mutual UFO Network, and also the editor for UFO Magazine. Here then are the comments by A.J. Javard.
Yes, I'm A.J. Javard, 34 years old. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Brazilian UFO Magazine and Brazilian National Director for Mutual UFO Network. I'm also director for the Brazilian Center for Flying Saucer Research for about 11 years now. Yes, this is a new piece of evidence that we just reached, 3 or 4 weeks ago, because the military decided to talk more than we have already heard from other military. And this new witness have told us that he was participating in an operation of retrieving debris from a crushed saucer or a crushed object. He didn't know it was a saucer, a flying saucer. And this operation took place at the same night the alien creatures were spotted and seen and captured in Brazil. But now we know for sure that U.S. authorities have detected through the satellite system that an object was entering our atmosphere. And it informed the Brazilian authorities that the probable point of touchdown would be in our territory. And our military, our authorities, searched for the place where it could crash or touch down. Some radar controllers were being involved in this detection, and it was determined the touchdown point as south of the state of Minas Gerais, exactly Varginha. And the military closest to that place were sent to retrieve the debris and possibly retrieve eventual creatures that could be seen. What happened is in the morning of that day, they started seeing creatures around. Yes, the vehicle was described by the witness Eurico and Orinda, a couple who lives in a farm about 1 mile from where the object crashed. They described this object as being as a van or a minibus, something between a van and a minibus, trembling. They said it trembling like a curtain, like this, trembling like this. That their metal surface was trembling like that and releasing a smoke. And it was falling down, and it fell down actually. And they fall into that. Creatures started being seen by popular people around. Same night, first stop was in an emergency room in a small place, neighboring area of Virginia, when the doctor in charge on duty at that night looked like the creature. He said, no, we can't stay with this creature here. We don't have equipment to treat this terrestrial people. What do you say about extraterrestrial? Go away with it. And they took to a public hospital, the biggest public hospital in Virginia area, which is the regional hospital, where it was treated for 2 or 3 hours. Then it was taken to a private hospital, which is much more well equipped to receive treatment for any kind of disease. And it stayed there for 2 nights.
2 nights. Creatures were first taken to like an emergency room, a trauma center, that kind of brief treatment. And you said there was a nurse who had 18 years experience?
Yes.
And she was interviewed?
She was interviewed, yeah.
What did she say basically about the brief visit there at that hospital?
Well, she was asked by the director not to say anything about it to anybody. But she agreed to talk to the investigators, and she said that what she saw was not from this world. It was a very strange creature. And lots of doctors were involved in treating the creature for the time being. By the time the creature was there, and everybody denied. And the director of the hospital, of course, denied. And other doctors denied. But a few of them decided to talk because they realized the importance of this case. 15 doctors were involved in observing, in treating the creature, and making the analysis of the creature. A few of them were not Brazilian at all, were American doctors were sent to Brazil to check on it.
And was there any information on where the Americans stayed or how they were?
Yeah, we have a few information about the registry in the hotels. We have few names, but we believe those names are fake.
How many first-hand witnesses would you say all of the Brazilian investigators have now?
Yeah, from 30 to 40.
30 to 40?
Yes, about 17 military agreed to talk.
17?
17 military from all police. Military police, civilian police, army, and fire department. 17.
That's incredible.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
This is a massive number of people talking about the same thing. It's amazing. Very rare. Yeah, we know that there's a lab where the autopsies have been performed since January by the team of Dr. Badam Palhares, which one of our best forensic, if not the best forensic doctor now. And we found out that there is an underground facility under his lab, which is also a lab used by the Army. Because we had lots of torture problems back to 10 or 20 years ago. And when someone was tortured, it was analyzed in the underground facility, which now is being used as a covered place for autopsy of the creatures, the alien creatures.
Now, that information came from what type of witness or source?
From people close to Dr. Badam Palhares, who don't want to be identified right now.
Right.
But these are people very close to him. And these same people told us that he is willing to talk, but he is about to wait all the rumors to cease until nobody remembers about the story. When it's not so evident, when he is not in such a delicate position, then he will be willing to talk privately with UFO researchers about what have happened.
In the North, get straight, what did he actually say to researchers, and then what did she describe?
Well, she and other wives of the military was very upset because their husbands have to stay in the military installation for quite some time. And they start talking about what the hell. He can get off the place. He can get off the place because he has to take care of the creature and all the stuff and talk to people and do all those silly meetings. You know how women, military wives says about things like that, and more than that. And the Commander Sergio Lima have treated very badly the UFO researchers. He tried to deny everything many times, and he once called the press. He called the press because he was denounced as withholding information. So he called the press to defend himself, and he got in even deeper problems. He tried to get rid of the problem, but he attracted much more problem because the press is not stupid.
Yeah.
The press is not stupid at all, and they found out everything about the case. Yeah. That's what happened.
Well, and meanwhile, is saying that he's involved in these meetings, and she even knew what the meetings were about, didn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, she started telling you, oh, what the hell, there's endless meetings about the ZT creature. Well, if you talk to people in Brazil, you find easily that 60% of these people believe that the government is withholding information, and these people believe that the case in Virginia really happened. Yes, it's because, you know what, our nature is that we don't have a tendency to create stories and perpetuate stories. No. The press gave such good coverage to the case that people believe because they have seen the evidence in television and other media. And I would say that 6% of population in Brazil believes in the case, yeah, definitely. Well, John, I have a personal confidence that very soon we're going to have fantastic surprises. Quoting the UFO researchers that are mostly involved with this case, they used to say, I thought I was doing UFO research all these years. Now I know that I was playing with UFO research. UFO research is what we have been doing now. Now
the real thing.
This is the real thing. This is the real. Nothing is compared to it. This is what they say, and I believe that.
What type of surprise are you?
That we are going to force people to talk more and more and more, and there will come a time when we will have so much information that we will drop all this information in the face of the military and say, now what you tell us? We have all this evidence. Are you still going on with the story that nothing happened? They will be forced to talk officially. And when they do that, it's going to be fantastic revelations. If our government releases those information, it's going to be something unique in the world. But on the other hand, you can see that national, and not national, but internationally, there is a big movement between people to force all governments to speak about UFOs. Like U.S. government, this is 1986. They are withholding information for more than 50 years now. They just can't handle all this information. They just can't hold information any longer. I believe that something is going to happen very soon. Either the UFOs will come more and more or something, I don't know. But I believe that the governments will very soon admit not only the existence of UFOs, but that they are here and now, and they are in some sort of mission toward us. They're not only observing. It's not only curiosity. There is a designated plan for approach Earth and Earthlings. And the government is, of course, aware of that much more than you or me, because we may have the willing to know everything about UFOs. We may have this state of mind that we have. We love to search these things, but it is the government who has the personnel, the labs, the communications, the transportations, the money, the satellites, the facilities. It's the government who has everything. And of course, they know much much more than we do.
What do you,
Well, we still are expecting to have more evidence and more details, not all evidence, but details about the crash.
Yeah.
We have information. We concentrated on the capture, in obtaining information about the capture of the ETs.
right.
And the information about the crash just came 3 or 4 weeks ago, and now we're concentrating on that. I believe we're going to have lots of information about it very soon.
If this underground base, there are bodies there now, do you believe?
Yes, I believe there are at least two bodies, but probably more.
Now, does that come from eyewitness testimony?
Yes. The bodies were taken there. We know that for sure.
And was there any belief that any bodies or live beings were taken to the United States?
Yes, there is some evidence that suggests that at least one body was taken to the United States, to California, on January 26, 1996.
Interesting.
We don't have the confirmation for that, but we have information. Not confirmed, but we have.
Does the name Edwards Air Force Base ring a bell?
Mm,
All right, well, thank you very much, AJ.
thank you.